How are you always so consistently composed and confident? Yeah, well, I wouldn't say that I am. I know what you mean. Well, look, I'm not that young. I'm just about 60 years old, and so I have a lot of experience behind me, and I've seen a lot of things, and I've learned to be detached to some degree. That's one thing you learn as a clinician, is people are always talking to you about terrible things and that difficulties in their life, and you can take that home and have it destroy you because you're constantly exposed to the troubles of existence, and they're real troubles. And I mean, it's not unique to clinicians. You see that with physicians and palliative care workers and people who work in morgues and emergency responders, and like there's lots of people who face the very difficult aspects of life very frequently. You detach yourself from it to some degree, and I don't mean in a disinterested way. I mean in a way that is sort of allied with a longer term view. Like if I'm doing an interview now with someone who's attacking me, and I can get irritable. I think I was too irritable in the GQ interview, for example, which some of you might have watched. I think, well, I'm not going to jump to conclusions about how this is going to go, even with regards to how it feels right in the moment. We'll see how it unfolds across time. And I'll try to manage myself in the moment with the least amount of upset that I can manage. And it's part of the doctrine of minimal necessary force. Like one of the things I've learned, if you have a dispute with someone and it needs to be settled, and maybe they need to change more than you, and that's not always the case because sometimes the settling requires change on your part. But let's say that they have to be defeated in some sense in comparison to you. You don't want to defeat them any more than necessary. It's like you don't knock your opponent to the ground and then jump up and down on them 3 or 4 times in triumph. You pin them and then let them up. Minimal necessary force, because any more than that just produces a counter reaction. And so, and I guess the other thing is my motivation when I'm engaged, let's say in these discussions, is that I'm not trying to win the argument. I'm not trying to win. I'm trying to say what I think as clearly as I can. And there might be an element, one of the consequences of that might be what appears to be a victory, but the right victory is the victory for your ability to articulate what you believe. And that's what I'm trying to do. And so that's another reason to stay composed, is like, well, okay, this person has just thrown a curveball at me. It's like, all right, so, well, I could be thinking, well, I don't want to be undermined by that, and I don't want to make a fool of myself, and I don't want to be put on the spot. And of course, all of those things are true. But mostly what I'm thinking about is, okay, well, now I've got that question. I want to answer as truthfully as I possibly can. What do I think about what was just said? And I'm not calculating the outcome. I'm assuming this is a mark of faith, right? This is the faith that people have talked about being something that has to be manifested necessarily. We've been talking about this since the dawn of time. What's the faith? The faith is that if you say what you believe to be true, then whatever happens is the best thing that could have happened. And I believe that. So that's what I really believe it. Partly because I believe that if you're deceitful, which is the opposite of that, or manipulative or malicious or malevolent, but maybe primarily manipulative, then what you're acting out is your belief that deceit will bring victory. And I just don't believe that at all. I think it's a preposterous claim. And so if deceit won't bring victory, then truth is what brings victory, if there is such a thing as truth. And there's certainly such a thing as deceit. So there must be such a thing as truth. And so, and some of it's just curiosity too. It's like, well, I'm going to say what I think and see what happens. And that's an adventure. That's the adventure of your life, really. And you don't want to miss that, because that's what you've got in your life, is for it to be an adventure. It's not an easy road, it's a stormy sea. And what you have is the adventure of contending with God in the waves. That's what you have. And the way you do that is with truth. And then that sort of takes you out of the immediacy of the conflict, the conflict with whoever it is that you're talking to. You're trying to ally yourself with something that's deeper and more profound and more lasting. But I don't think that I am particularly consistently composed and confident. I think I have faith in the truth. It's not the same thing. And, I'm an emotional person, obviously.